is crazy. That's an insanity. It is an a priori insanity that somebody should have an assault weapon, period. That Kmart or Walmart, whichever one of the marts it is, that's ridiculous. That they actually sell these guns, and what are you going to do with it? Oh, I hunt. What in the hell do you hunt? Excuse me, because you just have little pieces. You know, if they showed those youngsters in Newtown, we would all be sick to our stomachs because there was nothing left. They were scraping up people's, an assault weapon on a 5-year-old. It's like shooting a rabbit. There's nothing left. And somebody's going to say, well, it's important, the Second Amendment. You know, you and I don't read the Constitution, which you damn well should. Everybody in the, no, you should, you're educated. You should sit down and read the Constitution because there's nothing in the Second Amendment that says some fool should have a gun to kill you. As reality. And all you have to do is look at it. It says the people. In order for the people, and that is a militia. It has nothing to do with some fool standing around saying, I want to shoot somebody. And then he says, I'm crazy. I just said to a young man, it's true. Actually, I know a lot of crazy people. Probably most of us in this room know somebody. There are people in my family that are certifiably crazy. That's the truth. I love them, but they're crazy. I recognize that. But they don't have assault weapons. They don't have a credit card to go buy one. They don't have it delivered to the house. You understand what I'm saying? They don't fight over what the magazine can hold. So we're now fighting about whether a magazine can hold 7 or 10 shots or 200. What kind of sense does that make? Now you say, well, this has nothing to do with King. Well, actually, it does. It does. Because one of the things that Dr. King stood for was, of course, creative nonviolence. And I get tired of, and I'm in a good mood, but I get tired of people always, you know, what did Martin say? It's not what did Martin say, it's what did he do? And he stood for something. He stood up for something. And so his words were not, but his words were what he did. And you and I are going to have to stand for something. I'm really fond, let me just say that, and I know I'm being like, but I am really fond of this generation of kids. I know everybody's right, the kids don't know what they're doing. You do. You really do. Because you are, one, smarter than we are. You have at your command more information. What you haven't learned, those of you in high school, is what to do with it. There's a man, some of you all know him, Gil Scott-Heron. You know Gil. And you know that Gil did a lot of, I think, decent work. They're doing biographies on Gil now. And somebody said, what do you think about Gil? And I said, to be honest, and I say this to the high schoolers particularly, you know, Gil was casual with his sanity. You cannot be casual with your sanity. Because being casual with his sanity led him to drugs. There's nothing dumber than drugs. You look like a piece of shit. You're I don't know another way to say that. You need to know that. Your gums get black, your teeth fall out, you stink. You don't make sense when you talk. You know you don't make sense when you talk. What in the world would make you do drugs? Somebody said, well, I had a hard day. I think I'll snort, or I'll do cocaine, or I'll do crack. You cannot do drugs. That's like screwing strangers. You can't do that either. It's your life. And whatever it's going to mean forward. It can never mean backwards. So whatever is disturbing you always has to be going forward. We are here in Florida. Florida is not one of our nice states. You all know that. I like it. But you know that this is a difficult history here in this state, particularly northern Florida. Our history of lynching, it's an ugly thing. And the one way that we solve some of this is to face that so that we can go forward. Because if we keep saying, oh no, they didn't mean it, they damn well did. But it was an ugly thing. And so we now recognize this was an ugly thing that happened. And we will now continue to move forward. We are a great people here in this state. From Rosewood, look at what they endured. Look at that. And I was so proud of when Florida, as a Tennessean, I was very proud that Florida took responsibility for what happened in Rosewood, and that we continue to move forward. I want to see the United States take responsibility for the last 200 years of what's been happening. I'm not against rich people. I wouldn't mind joining. But there's a limit. There's a limit. And a billionaire is an embarrassment. It's just an embarrassment. By what right do you say I'm a billionaire? What? That doesn't even begin to make sense. Just think about it for a minute. A billionaire. I can see $1 million because I can think of a million things I could do with it. I like to travel. I really like good wine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and you want to wear decent clothes, major, you know, things like that. But a billionaire is a disgrace. And there's no particular reason that the child born of a billionaire has 1 billion times advantage over a child born of a poor parent. It's just there's no excuse. So I don't think you should tax income. I can deal with that. Make what you want to make. Tax wealth. By what right should you, dead, be able to determine what happens to the money you made? When you die, it comes back to us. Your kids already had better health. They had trips. They had better food. They had clothes. They had nurses and things that kissed their behinds. You did. You gave them what they had to start off in life. Let them earn something. Because we keep hearing rich people tell the poor people, oh, it'll make a better person. How? I remember Reagan used to say that. Oh, you know, it'll make a stronger person. I remember Reagan. Yeah. He used to like that. It'll make a stronger person. It makes a better character. How would you know, Ronald? You've been kissing, somebody's been kissing your behind from forever. How would you know? But I know this. It's not your fault that you were born poor. And I know that you shouldn't be punished for that. And so if I've said this backwards, let me try it again. It's very important, no matter what America says, that we keep money working. And when you start to deal with billions of dollars, it doesn't work. It goes, it's like a dam. A billionaire is holding on to money that needs to be circulating. Am I making sense? You don't have to agree with, oh, she's a communist. No, I'm a capitalist. I really am, because we know that a capitalist will tell you money needs to work. And what we need to do, you youngsters here at the Florida State. I'm from Ohio, so we have the Ohio State. You youngsters here should not graduate from this institution. I teach you Virginia Tech. Our youngsters should not graduate in debt. It's okay. We don't educate you about money. We want you educated so that you will have good sense, so that you will make decisions. We educate you to become better citizens. Let me try it again, because I think my mind is racing. And I know that sometimes I'm a poet, so I don't always connect. We are not here at Florida State, at FAMU, at Virginia Tech, at Fisk University. We are not here to learn to do a job. We are here to learn to be citizens. That's why we educate you to be a better citizen. Any job that you're going to have, they're going to teach you to work the job. This is so basic. We just met a doctor. He is in school because he is learning to be a doctor, but he is going to learn his doctoring when he goes into the hospital and somebody comes in bleeding or with something in there. That's where when you cut somebody open, that's when you learn it. We are here to learn to be citizens. We are here to learn to think. There's a reason that we have liberal arts, and there's a reason that we don't have conservative arts. We have liberal arts because we have to teach you to be kind. We don't have to teach you to be mean or selfish or crazy. We have to teach you to reach out. We are trying to teach you to be better citizens. We're trying to raise your tolerance for things that are different, whether it's color, whether it's gender, whether it's how you conduct your life. We are trying to teach you to get along with people. We bring you together in a university so that you begin to hear other languages, you begin to see other ways that people deal with things, you begin to just see how other people live. That's why it's so important that universities not just be men, that they not just be white, That they not just be American for that matter, because at my school there's still people that say, how come we have so many Asians on campus? So that you can learn something, asshole. Why do you think it makes you crazy. I won't get invited back, but you got to think about it. You've got to keep opening your mind. You have just got to. You've got to get used to the fact that some people are straight and some people are gay. You're not allowed to beat them up. You're not allowed to kill them. You're not allowed to have them. They're now at a point, again, it's just something that amazes me. Because there's been a big discussion, as you know, in Virginia, where I am, you all too, that everybody's upset about gay marriage. I'm missing something. First of all, I think marriage is stupid, but well, it is. What world are you living in that you're going to get married, you're 22, 25 years old, and you are going to love somebody for the rest of your life? That is a lack of imagination.
Yes, yes, yes,
You know it's true.
yes.
Because somebody said,
Somebody
I want to
finally
marry
put it to
a man,
words.
and therefore I don't want you to marry a woman. What kind of sense does that make? What kind of sense does same-sex marriage offends me? Why? What's it got to do with what you're doing? It's a time to get over it. And I've been amazed that men who have, in the history of the world, only one, in mythology, only one man ever had a baby. And that was Zeus, if you recall. And Athena sprung from his head, and Zeus said, I will not have a baby, and no other man will. Am I right? That's your Greek myth. Read your Greek myth. You got nothing else to do. You hear it time and a half. Men don't have babies. That's not what they do. They make them. They're a part of the process, but they don't have them. So by what right do they tell women, this is what you must do with your body? Breathe. And so I said, well, Nikki, I was with you, but I'm not for abortion. Well, then don't have one. Because what has my abortion got to do with you? And by what right do we allow some people to say, I'm anti-abortion, but pro-capital punishment? So I have to have him so that you can kill him? That's what that amounts to. That's hypocrisy. You can't have that. I get to decide what to do with my life. It's the 14th Amendment when you read your Constitution. I have a right to not have involuntary slavery. And that's what a baby amounts to. I have a son. And if I didn't, it wouldn't matter. The point is, I made a decision. You should make a decision. And any man that helped you do that ought to be a good friend and say, honey, what should we do? Because men have an automatic, ain't mine. No, it's true. And it's time that we stopped forcing or trying to act like it makes sense. What was that show that was on TV? It made you barf. Single Mother. Yeah, that thing, you're like 16, 17-year-olds and they're like on TV. Oh, I love my baby. And, we're going to look around and all of this is crazy. What is this? What are they going to do? They're not even out of high school. So they're stupid. They got the baby. The baby's going to be stupid because the mother's stupid. And all they can do is look forward to working at Walmart as a greeter.
She ain't
I
lying.
don't mean to be particularly harsh, but that's insane. But that's not, of course, why we're here today. I just thought. I mentioned, I just want to say it's a good idea to be alive. I want to recommend that. Life is wonderful. And I just came, and again, I'm just getting my landladies back. I have a 90-year-old aunt. Her name is Agnes. And Agnes's husband was a minister. And so they went all over the world. Ministers, everybody needs them, they think. But they've been all over the world. And she had been on every continent except Antarctica. And we were talking last year, and she said, Nikki, I've been on, my mom's dead, and my Aunt Ann, there were 3 girls, my mother, my Aunt Ann, and my Aunt Agnes. And Agnes was 89 last year. And so Agnes said, you know, Nikki, I've been on every continent except Antarctica. And I said, Agnes, you're 89. if we don't go soon, one of us won't be here. So we decided, you know, you can only go to Antarctica as a visitor. You can go as on the scientific expeditions, but you can only go down in the summer. So it's summer in Antarctica, it's about 20 degrees. So we made the arrangements and we decided that we were gonna, and that's where we went. So for 21 days, we were doing Antarctica. And I just want to say this to you in Florida here, especially you who are young. You have to go now.
Amen.
You really have to go while you're young. Somebody said, Nikki, I can't afford it. Well, you can't afford not to. Because if you go now, you're going to see something. I'm 69. Agnes is 90. So what we see is very different from what you would see. And you say, well, how will I do it? You do it the same way you do everything else. You put it on a credit card, you beg somebody, you do something. You do something. Because if you don't travel now while you're young, you'll be like a lot of people that were with us. There were about 30 people with us in wheelchairs. And so they couldn't go anything. To go out to see the penguins, they can't walk the 2 miles. My aunt, thank God, is in good shape. And so we walked out there, you know, we did some things. But you gotta go, and you gotta go now. Because if nothing else, just seeing the ice and just standing there and hearing the silence of the Antarctic. And it's just, the icebergs are crashing. And it's beautiful, and you just learn. I don't know what I've learned yet, but I do know. I teach at Virginia Tech, and we are a technical institution. We do things. And what I'm going to do when I get home next week, because we start school next week, is I'm going to write. I think that we need to send a writer to Antarctica. And I think it should be me. Because we haven't sent any writers down there, so you notice that, if you notice there's no good books, there's no good poetry. It's because we haven't, I'm not saying I'm a good poet, I'm not arrogant like that, I'm just saying, well I am, but nobody young enough to be inventive has gone. And somebody here says, well, I need a job, Nikki. Well, there are no jobs. Have you looked lately? Everybody's unemployed, everything is hard. So why don't you say, I'm going to go to Antarctica. I'm going to go down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city on Earth. And I'm just going to walk around for a week and write something. Who knows what will happen? Probably nothing. But what if something does? What if something strikes you? What if you see something that nobody has seen? You know, we live in a world of explorers. I'm a big fan of Christopher Columbus. I know people talk about Columbus, oh, the slavery and everything. Well, it's all sad, but he didn't start it and we didn't end it. The point is, this boy from Genoa got on a boat, went up to Galway, and then decided to go north. And his people, his friends, always said to him, you know, Christopher, you know, the world is flat, and if we keep this distance, we're gonna fall. And we do know that Columbus was not a Baptist. But if he had been a Baptist, he would have said, if I perish, I perish. But I'm going to see the King. And we know that Columbus sailed on. And we know that he didn't fall. He didn't get to the United States, what we now know, but we know that he sailed on. And you and I have to continue to sail on. We have to find something. I really want to go to space. I really, really, really want to be the first poet in space. I've been trying to convince people because, first of all, in all fairness, I took care of my mother, she has passed. I took care of my son, he graduated from law school. If that little Negro cannot feed himself, that's the truth. I love him, but he can take care of himself. My dog is okay, but actually, if I were going into space, her name is Alex. I would like to have Alex with me because Alex is a good companion. I have done what I should do. And at some point, you all will be in that position. Right now, you're not. Right now, you old people. Those of you who are young, who are sitting here in high school, those of you who come through it, you old people. Your parents want to watch you walk across the stage. Your friends want, you old people things. But you will get to the point that you will say to yourself, I have done what I came to do. And then the door will open and something else will happen. I would love to go to Mars. Somebody said, Nikki, if you go to Mars, you might not come back. No, baby, if I get on U.S. Air, go to Charlotte, I might not come back. But I'm not going to be afraid of going to Mars. Like I'm not going to be afraid of taking any other chance. I am not careless with my sanity nor my life. but it is just something for me to use to take the next steps. And you have to look at yourself that way. You will make a mistake. Whatever you've done in life, you will make a mistake. If you don't make a mistake, that is a total lack of imagination. You have ruined your life. You must make a mistake. You will take a class that you can't pass. You will do something that you shouldn't do. That's what we do in life. You will then forgive yourself. You will then understand that it was a mistake. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You will understand that. And then you will take the next step. And the next step is Drake's passage. It's whatever it is that comes on the other side. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's whatever it is when you break through. I have had the privilege of being on the SST, supersonic transport. And you go up to 80,000 feet. And when you do, you look over and you see space. And space is dark, but there's a light somewhere. And it's a fascinating thing. I have not been able to go up to 100,000 feet, which I really want to do. We need poets to do that. Because poetry is not just roses are red and violets are blue. Poets are about taking chances on this life that we're having.